Okay, so now that I've got the facade starting to come together, I'm just going to come back to the interior and just want to show you some easy ways of getting your planning shown for your master plans, which will hopefully help you with your design project, but also just to give an idea about how you can do layouts with Revit and use it as a planning tool. So going to the Massing and Site tab, I'm going to turn on the massing in this floor plan, just using the toggle there at the beginning, so that I can see the layout that I've done with my mass elements. And you can make the massing show in plan. If I go to a shaded view, then I'm going to see the different materials I've assigned to massing, but I don't think it's a great display, and it won't show you maybe some other things that you might want to see, like the square meters and the maybe different names you have for these areas. So you might not know, on the Architecture tab you have the Room and Area panel, which gives you two different tools that you can use to show you areas. You've got the Room tool, which is one that people often gravitate to because it seems easy at first, and it does these automatic rooms, which are good when you have enclosed spaces with walls around them. They're a nice way of getting tags that will show you things like the areas, and you can do lots of really complicated calculations in there actually if you know how to do some parameters and other things. So it's good to know about rooms, but I actually recommend using areas where possible, because areas are 2D, rooms are actually 3D, and to work with rooms you often need to put in things like room separators, and it's a little bit of work. Areas are a bit of work as well, involve some work as well, but you'll see once you know what they do, they can be really, really useful. So first thing you need to know with areas is that they create a new type of drawing. When you choose that area option, you can't go and make an area straight away because you need an area plan, and you'll get that automatically once you choose area plan from the menu there. And it will give you a choice of all of the levels in your building that don't have areas. Then you also have two different types of area plans. You've got gross building and rentable. And so for most interiors projects, rentable is probably the better option. Gross building is good for overall floor space, but of course rentable will let you break up your space into different tendencies and things like that. So I'm going to choose rentable, and then ground floor is my floor plan, and then it'll ask you if you want Revit to automatically create boundary lines associated with external walls, and you can probably say yes in most cases there. You can delete the boundaries if you don't want them. So I'm going to turn thin lines off again, and then you should be able to see the boundaries. So they're these magenta lines that run around the interior face of my walls. And actually, do you know the difference between floor space and floor area or rentable area? So floor space in most cases is measured to the outside of the wall, and rentable areas measured, well, in different ways, but at first you probably can just do it from the centre of the wall. You find that real estate agents have their own way of doing it, where they measure partly into the wall to work out what area they're going to charge you for. But when you're working out the rentable area, you know, just focus on the interior at first. So I've got these boundaries, and this is the thing I really like about areas, the fact that the boundaries are flexible. You can draw your own boundaries, and you're not limited to so much to the things that Revit is going to give you automatically, which is the case with rooms. So under the area option now, you can see that I can make area boundaries because I'm working in this new view type. If you look over here, it's got in my list, here it is, area plans. So that's a new set of floor plans that I can create for each level. And so I can go now to area boundary, and I can use pick lines to pick up anything that is going to highlight, but I'm going to instead use the lines tool to trace the massing. then come down this way. Just tracing all the things I've done previously. It's fairly good at joining these together automatically, so notice I've gone over the edge there, that doesn't matter. And so again here, I'm just going to trace this massing really quickly. Okay, so now to break that up into different areas, again under the area drop down there, now I've got the area option. Okay, so I'm just going to start there. Well, actually, it's not picking up everything, so I was going to check. Okay, so I've got some issues there with the boundaries. So I'm going to go back and draw some more area boundaries. Might actually just try and delete some of these that didn't turn out so well, and just check around the edges there. So again, just need to use the line tool and draw in any boundaries I think it needs. Except it's pretty good at joining these together. That one, not so much. So let's just get rid of that and go and draw in a new boundary. So here, it's basically tried to pick up the walls to find my boundaries, and it hasn't done a great job along the facade because I've got quite a few different walls there, and that's confused it. So I'm just going along and deleting all of the ones that have been made automatically, only on that facade. The others should be okay. And then I can go back and draw in my own boundaries. It's still less work than what you do in Photoshop, because in Photoshop you would have to go and draw all of these shapes. So there we are, that looks pretty good apart from that. Sorry, there's one missing here. And so again, I'm just going to use the area boundary tool and draw a line along that wall. Okay, and then try the area tool again. There we go, and now that's working perfectly. There we go. Okay, so you can see when it's working, it will fit these areas into the boundaries, and straight away I can see the area calculations. And so here, that area is obviously 133 square metres. This will be my hallway, that's 121. Then I've got another one over here that is the other tenancy area, and this might be my cafe or something. And actually, while I'm at it, I'll put in another area for the fire step. Why not? Okay, so that probably doesn't seem very exciting though, because they all look the same. And if I go to a shaded view, you'll see that they're all the same colour. I'm going to turn massing off now, so that you can see that they're grey. So what I'm going to do next is, well, I'll just crop this view so that it doesn't show too much. And I might start cleaning things up, so I'm going to hide the elevation symbols, the grids, maybe even the reference planes, section lines, all those other things. And again, just cropping as much as possible. And actually I'll hide these nearby elements. Alright, so then I'm going to go to the Annotate tab, and you'll see then you've got this option, Colour Fill Legend. So I'm just going to place this over to the side, and then it'll ask me what sort of scheme I want to use. So I'm just going to leave it on the one that I've chosen, Areas Rentable, and then Scheme 1. Clicking OK, now you can see the areas starting to work. And so they're a different colour, but I want to go even further with that. So I'm going to select one of the areas, and you'll see then can actually just type in a new name. So I'm going to make the first one tenancy. And then this one here, corridor. This one, tenancy again. And this will be cafe. Oh, and fire stair. Okay, so now that I've got those different names, I can select my legend and go to edit scheme. And then I'm going to change the color option there to name. And just click OK. When it tells me the colour's not going to be preserved, that's fine. And how good is that? Notice it's automatically assigned these Pantone colours. You can go and change them if you want to, but you don't have to. And there we go. So I've got my own areas. Tenancy and tenancy both use the same colour because I've used the same name, and they're automatically tied in with the legend that's come up automatically. Yeah, sure. So you can just go into here, and so you have to make a new family because we don't have one loaded. So you can just go to edit family, and then delete the area from there, and then just go to save as family, and say area no name no area. Load that back into the project, and then if I go to my area plan, I can select any of those tags and choose the one without the area. But I mean, are they asking you not to give areas, or? Because I think it'd be a useful thing to have. Yeah, definitely. Yep. And so the beauty of this is if you go and adjust that now, so if I move that boundary, the areas change, the colour, the fill patterns automatically adjust, and it's a really easy way of experimenting with your planning and seeing what happens. So if you realise you've got too much space for something, or the corridor that's maybe too much for that floor level, I can try and bring that down. It's all interactive. And then the boundaries can just be hidden that easily, VH, all I did there. And when you go to print, just set this to A3. You can put it on a sheet, of course. Okay, so, then that's probably going to be centered anyway. But, offset is probably better. But, new page size. There we go. So, the boundaries there don't look great when you're printing, so if you just hide those. There we go. Okay, so really easy thing you can have tied in with your Revit model. And what I find frustrating when I'm doing this sort of work with Photoshop, or I'd probably use Illustrator for it personally, when I make changes in Illustrator, I've then got to go back and do it in Revit or AutoCAD or whatever program I'm using. But if you can do it all in the one program, it will save you a huge amount of time and mean you can actually think about it as a design tool rather than just a presentation tool. So anyhow, hopefully they'll give you some ideas. And they're really one of the most underused tools in Revit. So yeah, make sure you think about when you can use areas. And just also, just so it's clear, if you need multiple tendencies, you could easily break that up. So I meant to show you that as well. Okay, so what if I wanted to have additional tendencies with different colours? So I'll unhide my boundaries just so I can work with those again. And so I'll do 3 tendencies for a start. I'll probably have more than that here. I'd have several. So going back to my architecture tab, and then I'll do a new area boundary. Maybe, and break this up. So I did have one already along there. And then this one could be extended. Okay, so I've started to break that up so I can have some different tendencies, and then I can go to make new areas in those areas. So you can see then it's come up automatically in the legend. All I need to do then is say tendency 1, tendency 2, three, and so on. It automatically is going to put whatever I have into the legend. If you want to change the colours, not a problem. Just select your colour scheme, edit scheme, and you can change any of those values to your own colours. They're just Pantone automatic colours. Right, so that's it, and hopefully that'll make it easy. If you're just doing plain colour fills, I think that's often the easiest way. Regions, yep. Yes. Only floor plans, only floor plans. So this is a special type of floor plan. If I go to my regular ground floor plan, it's not there at all. And if I look in any other view, 3D views or anything, you won't ever see it. It's just in the area plan that you get that. But you can link these, so if you've got walls later, you can lock those boundaries to your walls, and then if the walls move, the areas will update automatically. Yeah, you just lock it together. Not generally. No. Depends. I mean, this one is linked because I let it make it automatically. Yeah, you've often got to check. Yeah. But otherwise, pretty straightforward. And just having that legend, apart from anything else, is pretty nice. So these I can set back to having the areas showing again if I want. And again, you'll find rooms do similar things, but often rooms do too much. And the way that the rooms work out the areas is a bit different because it's based on the construction. So it'll look at the walls and look at the floor and the ceiling for the volume. And you don't have so much control over the areas, where here it's the boundary lines, and so you can control the boundary lines and therefore control the area a bit more. Well, as a more of a intuitive or just a general planning option, rather than basing it on the physical things that you'll have with a room. So anyway, I think it's a really useful tool. Again here, nothing wrong with cleaning up the graphics in the view, so I could hide stairs maybe and railings, and I'll just show that as an area as well, and you can make them look really nice and graphical. Again, doors even might not be worth having there, and they can, look like a very simple model, even though behind the scenes you might have already done quite a lot of work in Revit. But you don't have to always show that, of course.